One of the most acquisitive mining companies in the battery metal space is Wyloo Metals. The company recently completed a roughly $500 million purchase of Mincor. CEO is Luca Giacovazzi. Luca, welcome back to Kitco.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for having us on the show.
Help us out at the stop there. Tell us about the acquisition with Mincor.
Yeah, couldn't be more happy with the acquisition. It's quite transformational for our group. It takes us from a company really focused on developing our Project Eagle's Nest to now having a producing asset within our portfolio. So couldn't be more happy. A great set of assets, a very historic, prolific nickel basin that's still got a lot to give. So we couldn't be happier.
What is the current production profile at Mincor? Where is it located?
Sure. This year they are on track to produce somewhere around 10,000 tonnes of nickel. And then over the next couple of years, it varies somewhere between 10 and 18,000 tonnes of nickel per annum.
Mm-hmm. And I take it as well, too, it's important to have that producer within a portfolio of companies, correct?
Yeah, it's as I mentioned, it's quite transformational for us. We've gone from being an investor in the nickel space to being a project developer with our acquisition of Noront, now Ring of Fire Metals, the Eagle's Nest project. And now we've obviously added Mincor to the portfolio, which gives us that secret sauce, which is having a producing asset within the portfolio.
Now you're advancing some nickel technology as well, too. Is that correct, Luca?
Yeah, correct. So we've got a downstream partnership with another mining company here in Australia, RGO. And together we're developing a PCAM facility in Kwinana, which is an industrial hub here in Western Australia.
And is it, when you say a batteries hub, what is that? I mean, what metals is it taking in? And then how much processing are you doing?
Yeah, so we take nickel and we process it first into a nickel sulfate product and then into a PCAM product. And then PCAM obviously goes into the battery supply chain and gets converted into CAM, which ultimately goes into a battery cell and becomes a battery pack.
Stepping back, what are the options in Australia for doing the downstream production of battery metals? You point to a lot of you see there's a lot of Australians, for instance, that are coming up to Canada and then talking about how good the supply chain is being built out, and then thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act there.
Yeah, I think the IRA certainly changed strategy for a lot of OEMs and mining companies. And there's a real focus now on trying to develop that downstream capability, which is what we have with our partnership with RGO. And I think in Australia, we obviously have a natural advantage with really wonderful mineral endowment, and it's wonderful to see we're getting so much support from the government and the community to further beneficiate our metals into a more finished, higher value product.
Now, the last time I talked to you, you were running a Ring of Fire, but you have somebody else that stepped in, though. But can you bring us up to date with the project?
Yeah, sure. So correct, we have Kristen Straub, who started as the CEO of Ring of Fire Metals for us. Ring of Fire is going exceptionally well. We're continuing our feasibility studies on the Eagle's Nest. We're having really strong conversations and engagement with our communities, and those are going very well. So everything's progressing nicely alongside the community-led infrastructure project, which is to build the roads to the Ring of Fire.
Now, Andrew Forrest, the backer for Wyloo, did back in the spring. He did say that he was having, how would you say, a little concerns about the progress in terms of consultation as well as the permitting. Do you feel that's been cleaned up?
I think we're still looking to, we're still engaging with government, talking about how do we streamline some of the permitting in Canada. So that remains a concern. We'd really like to see that cleaned up and streamlined. So there still is a lot of duplication in the system. But I think from the discussions that we've been having with both the federal and the provincial government, I think there's strong alignment across both sets of government to improve the process and to bring this really important critical mineral hub into production.
And how is Hastings doing? That would be a rare earth.
Yeah, Hastings is progressing well. They're continuing to develop their project. Uh, they've recently signed a MOU with Neo Performance Metals, looking to send some of their product up to their facility in Estonia. So, still very much supportive of that business. Really like their strategy of building out a European rare earth supply chain with feed coming from Australia. I think that's a really strong story, and I think it's very unique in the market because they're one of the few companies that can actually go from ore to a finished product to a magnet through that supply chain, which is a very um, unique business in the rare earth space.
How do these assets fit together, Luca? So the focus is battery metals because that is on an uptick right now with energy transition that we're seeing. But again, just maybe you could help us out a little bit more about the pieces that do fit underneath Wyloo Metals.
Yeah, I think what you're starting to see with Wyloo is we're really starting to pull together quite a unique nickel portfolio. It's now one of the largest nickel sulfide portfolios in the world, and that's starting to, um, I guess, shape into something quite unique that can stand on its own. And then we've obviously got our other investments in companies like Hastings and Greatlands, which are focused on rare earths and copper. So I think you're starting to see a little bit of division within the Wyloo portfolio, and we're certainly starting to see that our nickel portfolio is something quite unique that, as I mentioned, can stand up on its own and really focus on that commodity.
Now, nickel prices have gone a little soft. It's been there's been softness in the Chinese market, and then also you have the quick build out in Indonesia as well. China and the companies in there seem to have been ramp up quickly. What's the medium term look like for nickel, Luca?
Yeah, I think I always find it quite interesting when we talk about nickel prices being soft. I think nickel prices are definitely at historic highs still. And I think if you're a producer, you certainly got some very healthy margins at the current nickel price. At the same token, I also think it's good for the market. We want nickel to remain something that's affordable that can go into a battery. So I think where it's currently trading is actually quite sustainable, and I think good for the market overall. In the medium to long term, we still see a significant shortage around 2025, 26 starting to emerge. And we know that traders, OEMs are all very focused on how can they secure supply from that sort of 26 onwards. And we know the world is very short nickel sulfide concentrate.
Help me out looking at the portfolio, but there seems to have been a concentration on Australia as well as in North America, Canada. Do you see other pieces fitting outside of these jurisdictions, Luca?
Yeah, we're jurisdiction agnostic. We're happy to look at other countries, but we found a natural fit within Australia and Canada. And I think it also the RA has had a big role to play in that. It's definitely changed how we think about where we're trying to secure supply. And obviously, we've got RA compliant countries in Canada and Australia, which is why we've focused in those two countries.
Maybe you can compare kicking the tires on an asset, say the beginning of the decade to now. Are you seeing some, how would you say, some new people that are at the table, say like automakers, other people you traditionally wouldn't have seen there?
Yeah, absolutely. I someone told me a great analogy where car companies previously built a car with an empty fuel tank and sold it to a customer. Now all of a sudden they have to effectively fill the full fuel tank for a customer, so they need to source the actual battery metal. So that's definitely changed the landscape, and there are definitely new players within the space. But the other thing that I think has been quite interesting over the last 6 months, especially, is you've started to see some of the larger mining companies and some of the bigger traders really start to get involved and start to make investments, which has been a real shift from the last decade where they've historically been quite inactive. And it's surprising to see companies like Glencore get involved in early stage exploration projects or development projects, all with that goal of securing long term sulfide concentrate supply.
Lastly, Luca, milestones over the next 12 months.
I'm not so focused on the next 12 months. I'm focused on the next month, really focused on just integrating Mincor into Wyloo. And then we'll just continue growing our business. We've got our Downstream partnership with IGO, that study's progressing. Eagle's Nest study's progressing. And Mincor's busy ramping up. So it will be a busy 12 months for us. But coming out of that, really emerging as an exciting, large-scale, long-life nickel sulfide company.
Luca, thanks for speaking with Kitco.
Perfect. Thanks, Michael. Cheers.
My name is Michael McCrae. You're watching Kitco Mining.